I didn't throw a party for my 40th birthday. I ran to nature instead. Turning 40 is no small thing. And for a while, I thought I did want a big party. 90s themed. A room full of people. Music from another lifetime echoing into the night. But 2025 has changed me. And this year I've been choosing something different. A softer way of living. A slower pace. Healing in places where I used to distract. And listening more closely to the parts of me that I used to ignore. So when I really paused to ask myself how I wanted to spend this birthday, the answer was simply quiet. Not a loud celebration, but stillness. Not a crowd, but the trees. Not lights and noise, but stars and the scent of earth. So we packed up the car and drove to Memorial Park in San Mateo County. A place where the redwoods stretch impossibly high, and the air feels easier to breathe. We camped beneath the canopy of giants. Just us, our tent, and the hush of the forest. No screens, no rush, just breath, peace. And the quiet thrill of being free. I found myself standing among trees that felt like time itself. Their bark thick with stories older than memory. Some so wide I could step inside their hollowed stumps, Whole rooms made of wood and quiet, spaces that held body and thought. And I wandered barefoot through a cold, clear creek, feeling the earth in its rawest form. Turning over stones as if they were little secrets, and each one cool and smooth in my palms. As the evening settled, so did I. We cooked simple food beneath the open sky. I wrapped my hands around a warm mug of tea, letting it anchor me as the light faded. Through a curtain of branches and soft gold. We sat by the fire as the day slipped into darkness. The night, cool and calm. A hush held between heartbeats. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely there. Not pulled forward or back. Just resting in the now. And in the morning, I heard the forest wake up all around me. And I thought to myself, this is what 40 feels like. Rooted, present, deeply at home.
Creek. That's the best hot water ever.
Before leaving the park that day, we just took in the sights. There was no goal, only wonder. And maybe that's the point. That in a place so ancient, the best thing that you could do is slow down and let the forest teach you how to see. And less than 20 minutes away, in the coastal town of Pescadero, we moved slow and curious, like kids with no agenda. We enjoyed crab sandwiches at a cozy tavern that smelled like sea salt and old stories, and then wandered through a cafe filled with character and charm. A place that stirred a soft, familiar feeling, as if time moved a little differently there. Little moments stitched together in a rhythm all their own. There's something about the ocean that finds me when I'm starting to unravel. Not in dramatic moments, just the quiet kind. When life piles up in invisible ways and I forget how to breathe with my whole body. As I sat high on the cliff, watching waves crash endlessly into the rocks below, the rhythm of it loud, certain, like a heartbeat that never forgets you, even when you've forgotten yourself. For a while, I didn't speak. Didn't need to. Because the water was speaking to me. Not in words, but in presence, in power, in the way it reminds me every time that I don't have to hold it all together. But sometimes it's enough to sit still and let the sea carry the weight for a while. And just like the lighthouse on Pigeon Point, I'm weathered and beautiful standing tall. A little older, a little more worn, but still here. Still steady. And I didn't miss the party. I didn't miss the noise. Because this quiet, this grounding, this time in nature, this return to something real was exactly how I needed to begin the next chapter of my life. Out there among the trees and the tides, I found space to breathe, real breath, deep and unhurried. The kind that reminds you you're still here. And in that stillness, I started to see more clearly the parts of me I no longer want to carry. The versions shaped by survival, by overgiving, by shrinking to fit. I don't need them in my 40s. What I want now is presence, rootedness, room to grow into the woman I'm still becoming. I want to hold joy without guilt, speak without apology, rest without needing permission, and choose myself again and again. So I'm going home. Not back to the same version of myself, but forward. Something truer, something steadier. A return not to who I was, but to who I've always been, beneath all the trying to stay afloat. A return to someone I finally recognize. If this reminded you to slow down or reconnect with yourself, I'd love to hear about in the comments. What's your version of stillness?